Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of the most difficult trading card games to get into. Since September of 2019, I've been spending £30 a week on sealed products trying to create my own competitive dragon deck from scratch. No trading and no buying individual cards. So far we've spent over £1,000 on packs and achieved a second place regional top, securing an invite to the next European Championship. The ultimate goal is to top one of Yu-Gi-Oh's largest, most competitive events, and this is my journey. You're watching Yu-Gi-Oh! From scratch. Hello and welcome back to the 44th release of this shit show of a sealed series we call Yu-Gi-Oh! From scratch. As you know, we have a bunch of different goals on the series right now, but the be-all and end-all is to top a big tournament online. Thanks to COVID. While we have PPG and LCS events to make use of, the attendance numbers for these haven't really been too high recently, and so I wanted to get in on the biggest tournament going right now. MBT's 8th YCS Yu-Gi-Oh! Quarantine Series maxed out at 128 players. This is going to be our first big attempt at the Yu-Gi-Oh! From scratch endgame, and with us fighting against the 52 episode timer, the pressure is real.
It is the largest, spikiest Yu-Gi-Oh! Quarantine series that we have ever had. 11 rounds of contention here today, 7 Swiss and 4 of Top Cut. Revzcards, staple of online Yu-Gi-Oh! Content, who is just destroying the competition. More power to Revs, but I think this is probably the end of the game. Shane Block the Striker Dragon! Oh my god, is this enough to combo? Whoa, they have a Gravedigger's Trapple as the last card set!
So yeah, we're going to have the tournament gameplay for you today, including one of the best games of Yu-Gi-Oh! I have ever played. Honestly, such an amazing comeback. Before we get into that, we of course have some cardboard to crack into, and before we go into that, we have some simps to thank. Death, Rebellion, and Zero Criticals have made a contribution through either Patreon or YouTube channel memberships today, so thank you to you guys. Genuinely the reason I'm able to keep making content like this. And if you watching want to make your own contribution to Papa Revs, then links as always are in the description, or you can buy some merch. What better way to allow the legacy of our old pal Agripane and the original deck mommy to live on. Anyway, we have a budget of £31.50 to spend today, and it's not going to be that big of an opening, so instead of me spoiling it now, let's just jump into it. Oi! So this one's going to be a bit of a quickie in a back alley because I have opted for optimization, I guess, in terms of what we're opening today. It is really long overdue. We have £31.50 to spend, and you will be pleased to know it lives another episode. That's right, we've only spent £30 once again this week on a box of Dual Devastator. Dude. So there's literally only one card that, I mean, there's more than one card that is nice to have out of here, but as for right now, in terms of additions to our deck, there's only one card in here that I'm buying it for, and that is our third DD Crow. But it feels so late to be opening a third box of Dual Devastator because this is sort of like a staple for sealed play with all its hand traps and whatnot, and we're finally opening the third one, like 20 episodes after the last one. Oh, we get field centers as well. I forgot about these. So, 4 different ones. We have Kaiba and Blue Eyes White Dragon, which won't focus for whatever reason. There we go, very nice, very suave. We also have Ash Blossom. We also have Ghost Ogre. I think we've had both of these before. And Mai, along with Amazonas Swordswoman. So, yep, very cool. Some very nice field centers there, and a big block of cards. Build a house with this shit. So we're just gonna skim through these. Literally going to be like the quickest opening in this series so far, unless we have some juicy misprints in here, but it's highly unlikely. So we have Ghost Ogre. Focus, please. We have Ghost Reaper, Ash Blossom, Ghost Belle, Ghost Sister, Red Blossoms from Underroot. Some skulls in the artwork there. She's killed quite a few people, man. Four kills. Got a 4 kill streak. Girl, we have a 7 kill streak. Get on our level. Catastor, Brio, Metaphys, Horus. Oh, the focus is so bad. Black Rose Dragon, Clear Wing, a bunch of Synchros, Scarlight, oh, it's been a while since I've used you, old friend. Trishula, yep, Dragon Mech, Dweller, Castell, Tornado Dragon, bloody blah, DD Crow. There we go, that's going to be our card of the day that we add to our list. We have a third Ultra Veiler here as well. And a third Super Poly, I guess, that's kind of cool. A third Called by the Grave, which we have been needing, but I'm actually going to take Called by the Grave out of the deck as we finally get the third, just for today, see how it goes. And I am going to make another switch in the side deck, and that is Anti-Spell Fragrance, because there's so many spells in the game right now that just sort of screws us over, and this kind of puts a curb on that. So there we have it. The one card we came for, the £30 DD Crow. Very nice. Let's go make some of those small changes to our deck, prepare our army, and take it to war. Alrighty, so if we take our nice little deck out of here, yes, ignore the new sleeves, that's I just needed to preserve the cards because the sleeves were getting dirty AF. So DD Crow is of course going into the main deck, and our placeholder for that was our very old friend, Fantastical Dragon Phantasme Secret Rare. So we're going to be swapping this one out right now for Zikro. Get in there. Ooh, nice. Alright, and then moving over to the side deck here, we're going to be swapping out our two Called by the Grave for the two Anti-Spell Fragrance. They sort of serve the same purpose post-siding, in a sense that if I know I'm going to go first, I would side these in, and so I would be doing Anti-Spell instead of Called by the Grave, just so I don't get like Dark Rulered or Triple Tactics Talents or Forbidden Dropleted. So let's pop these little bad girls in here. Pink Trap in the magenta dragon shield. Beautiful. Boom. Right, so because it is a tournament we're going into, I thought it would be worthwhile just doing a quick run through of the deck profile. Now the tournament is going to be on EDO Pro. It's going to be 7 rounds of Swiss cutting to a top 16. This also isn't going to count towards our kill streak because the whole nuke thing is a side quest basically, and this is like the real deal. So that's our 7 kill streak is safe for now. So starting us off here, we have the 3 Crusadia Arboria, 3 Draco, and 3 Maximus. So 9 Crusadia cards in the main deck. Hopefully this stops people from commenting, oh, this is just a Crusadia deck, because it's a lot more than just a Crusadia deck. We also have our 3 Skippy and our 3 Exceed for the deck Mommy 2. For the hand trap lineup, we have 3 DD Crow, 3 Nibiru, and 3 Ghost Ogre, so 9 hand traps in total, all with either light or dark attribute to help make Chaos Space live in the deck. We of course have our Collapserpent, Wyverburster, and Galactic Spiral down the side here. Very pretty deck list display. We have Levianeer, Brotaur, and Seyfert's really not doing anything too important in the deck. I just thought I had one space and I threw this in because it's really nice to add back Levianeer or put Savage back into the extra deck if you're in a little bit of a grind game. Just a target you can summon off spheres or send with Ravine or something like that. We of course have our Rokket package, Tracer, Silverrokket, and Synchron with Absorouter as well. Our Dragon Buster for that extra deck lock. Monster Reborn has a lot of utility. We can use it just as part of our little Crusadia engine, or if we're going second, we can make use of our opponent's graveyard, which is very nice. Chaos Space obviously is Chaos Space, absolutely dumb broken Revzcard. Foolish Burial obviously to facilitate Galactic Spiral along with the Dragon Shrine. 1-for-1 can summon Brotaur out in a pinch, or Formud Skipper if we need to get either of those. Double World Legacy Guard Dragon, one of the best extenders in the deck. Really can't wait for a third. Ravine and Boot Sector Launch, of course, to be searched by our Striker Dragon and Romulus. 3 Quick Launch to summon Tracer from the deck. Gravedigger's Trap Hole to stop the Nibiru. And, like I said, the Dragon Shrine was to facilitate Galactic Spiral. In the side deck, we have Gamma and Impermanence, mainly for Numeron, but also because they're just great cards in general. Triple Dark Ruler No More for the combo boards like Dragon Link and Adamancipators. They're still very good in the meta right now. Double Cosmic Cyclone because you don't want to use Twin Twisters on Eldritch. And then double anti-spell and an Imperial Order for going first to prevent us getting blown out by things like Dark Ruler No More and Forbidden Droplet. And then of course for the extra deck, I think this is like never going to change until we get to Dragoon. We have Savage, Harbinger, Rafflesia, Borrelsword, Magius, Spatha, Needlefiber, Romulus, LP Pisty, Spheres, Almirage, Saryuja, Striker Dragon, and Union Carrier, our choo-choo monster. So that's the list. Now ideally, while the tournament does cut to top 16, I would like to make top 8 or higher in Swiss and obviously in Top Cut to fulfill the requirements of our competitive event top for the series. Rise of the Duelist is of course legal as well, so we're probably going to see things like Dogmatica Invoked and some other new decks like Infernoble Knights. I am feeling pretty confident, but the format is a little bit unpredictable right now, so I'm really interested to see what we end up against, and hopefully this is it, boys. Hopefully we get the top. Right, it's time. Let's do this. Round 1. I'm raring to go. We lose the rock, paper, scissors, unfortunately, but we are made to go first. Automatically seeing a Skippy and a live Chaos Space is a very good start. We also have a DD Crow as well. I don't really want to activate Chaos Space as my first card here, because if we run into Ash, then it's a little bit annoying. Especially against a going second deck, it potentially gives away a little bit too much information, so I do start with a Skippy, revealing that I'm playing some kind of Crusadia deck by revealing Spatha. That is allowed to go through, so we link into our Magi, getting a search for Parallel Exceed, which is a very good link climb extender in just Crusadia. So I'm not entirely surprised when our opponent drops an Ash Blossom, preventing us from getting to the Exceed. However, it does allow us to pop off with Chaos Space. This gets us to our baby Chaos Dragons and allows us to make our big chain block play where we link it to Striker Dragon at Magius' zone, triggering Magius, Wyverburster or Collapserpent and the Striker Dragon. From there, searching for Arboria, we do our classic Halki Fibrax play and go into the LP. However, because we've already gone through the baby Chaos Dragons, Brotaur is kind of less appealing here. I'd rather go for Absorouter. This way we're guaranteed to get to the Borrelode Savage Dragon instead of just relying on the Saryuja draws and potentially getting kind of unlucky, which we do actually get unlucky on the Saryuja draws, so it was a good thing that we did that. Seeing a Draco and a Gravedigger's Trap Hole is kind of nice because it allows us to extend a little bit further and we can just put back the Silverrokket, the Chaos Space, and the Dragon Buster. Summoning Wyverburster, I get a draw from the Chaos Space and we draw into a second Draco, which opens up this really interesting play where we can Pisty back the Seyfert and use its effect, pitching the second Draco along with the now useless Collapserpent to search for a level 8, and I go for the Levianeer over the Galactic Spiral because ripping out a card in his hand when he has 0 interruptions left means we are probably going to hit something important. So definitely a very interesting turn rather than just making our standard combo board, but we do still get to a Union Carrier with a Buster Lock just in case he's playing like Cyber Dragons or something as they go second deck. We have the Borrelode Savage negate, Spheres, and a set Gravedigger's Trap Hole with a DD Crow in hand as well, so essentially 5 interruptions in total. We also have the Levianeer again for next turn thanks to the Seyfert, but after passing it over he just imperms the Savage, and after negating that he just scoops him up. So very strong start, I'm feeling confident. Game 2, the only card we've seen so far is Impermanence from a go second deck, so I really had no idea what to expect, and the first card we see come down is a magical midfield breaker as they choose to go first. Of course, the only piece of interruption we happen to see is a Ghost Ogre, which is essentially now useless. From there, a Girsu the Orcus Mech Knight gets normal summoned, and it turns out we're up against pure Mech Knights. Girsu, being a very good card, gets our opponent to a Morning Star, which they can use to search for a World Legacy Succession, allowing them to set up an Avramax and go through a series of Mech Knight plays, getting to a board of Movie Man and Avramax, both set up in the extra monster columns. With one of the 2 set back rows being a World Legacy Secrets, this is going to turn off the effects of any monsters in those columns, and therefore any extra deck monster we would summon is just going to get negated. So over to us, we draw a Levianeer for turn, which also gets countered by the magical midfield breaker because it's during either player's main phase. Man, how could we get countered by this one card so hard? Anyway, since he has no cards in hand, I'm not scared of any Ash Blossoms, so I fire off a Chaos Space, pitching Absorouter, which is like one of the best 2-card combos in our deck. The Chaos Space goes off fine, no problem, but the Absorouter gets met with a Called by the Grave, so we don't get Tracer to our hand, and now we don't have any Darks in the graveyard, so Wyverburster is turned off. Not a very good position to be in. I normal summon the Skippy, to which he flips World Legacy Secrets, reviving World Chalice from the graveyard. World Chalice is kind of like a Solemn Strike on an extra deck monster, so if I make anything too scary, he can just send it to the graveyard with that. Linking into the Magius, I get a search for Parallel Exceed, and he also activates Chalice here just to send Magius to the graveyard. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot going for me here. There is this cute little interaction where I can Monster Reborn the World Armor to search for World Legacy Guard Dragon, but with no dragons in the graveyard, it's really not doing too much. Maybe if I had played it differently with the same hand, we could have been in a better position, but ultimately the Called by the Grave and the Magical Midfield Breaker sealed the deal. Oh boy, it's only round 1 and we're already feeling the tension. Game 3, and with this hand, we basically need Foolish to resolve. I don't really have any bait in hand, so I just have to go for it to put that light in the graveyard, and it does go off, thankfully, so we dump a Maximus to banish for the Collapserpent. Normal summoning the Rokket Synchron gives us the materials for a Halki Fibrax, which will allow us to summon our Exceed as well and get to the Rafflesia as early as possible. So doing just that gets us a chain link of 3 going for the Collapserpent, the Halki Fibrax, and the Exceed, and then on the second effect of Exceed,
throw another rock!
I mean, at least he did it on the effect rather than the resolution, so we do still get the second Exceed onto the board. From here, we summon the Wyverburster and a link into Striker Dragon for the Boot Sector launch to put Silverrokket on the field, and we have 2 options. We can either end on Spheres and leave the token and Exceed doing nothing, or we could put everything into a Staryuja and hope to draw something juicy to continue making at least somewhat of a board. Phantasme comes down on the summon of Striker Dragon, our Staryuja gets ashed, and we get OTK'd. This always happens, dude. It's always round 1 that I seem to lose in these online tournaments, and then we sort of have to claw back from the bottom. It's a curse, man. It's a real curse. Round 2. If we lose another match whatsoever, our entire tournament is over, and MBT gave us the stream feature match on this one.
Our next match is going to be a Dragon Link player versus a Generator player, but one of them you may be familiar with. That's right, Revzcards has made it into the tournament once again.
Losing the Rock, Paper, Scissors is sad enough as it is, but opening 0 hand traps against Synchro Generators, it's a yikes from me, dude. They go through their combos in a very roundabout way, making use of like Cross Sheep and Instant Fusion for Theseus, but they end on just a Calamities in the extra monster zone, but 6 cards in hand as well. I say the Calamities there like it's a bad thing, but no, True King of all Calamities is enough to just win games by itself, because I can't activate monster effects for the full turn, and he has 6 cards in hand.
Wow.
The best thing we can do in this sort of situation is attempt to play on our opponent's turn so we're not under the effect of Calamities, and the best way to do that is to have a Spheres on board. I want to save the Maximus for Chaos Space, so I start with a 1-for-1 pitching Silverrokket, which gets met with an Ash Blossom. Now with Ash out the way, I'm free to activate Chaos Space, pitching the Maximus to search for Collapserpent. Now unfortunately, we're not going to get to the Wyverburster because Collapserpent won't be able to activate thanks to Calamities, but we can bring back the Silverrokket with World Legacy Guard Dragon, giving us the materials for our Spheres. This took every card in our hand, man, so it better freaking pay off. If he has a Called by the Grave, then I'm gonna be so sad. Set in the Gravedigger's Trap Hole, we pass turn and hope for the best, to which our opponent goes straight to the battle phase, attacking into the Spheres, attempting to force out the effect. Obviously, I have to tribute the Spheres here, and he chains the Calamities, so I'm not going to get the summon from deck off of Spheres, but it means I don't have to worry about it on my next turn, which is really big. Since Calamities is now essentially just a 3000 beat stick with no effect, and we're already in the battle phase, meaning I'm not going to die, the better option here is to bounce the World Legacy Guard Dragon back to my hand. So we're 3000 life points down, we have just 2 cards, and our opponent still has a main phase 2 to pop off. This is definitely a situation. We see the normal summon of a Lopter come down in main phase 2, tributing itself to summon Mardell from the deck, which is going to search on its summon for a boss quest, essentially getting him to a boss room and a boss stage. With no way to actually stop the boss stage, this means he's probably going to get Har or some other kind of interruption from the deck, and
I'm in danger!
More power to Revs, but I think this is probably the end of the game.
I don't see a way out. Not looking great for Dragon Link. I believe Revs will lose.
listen up fuckers, I didn't come all this way just to lose the first 2 rounds of the tournament and bail. We're going all the way to the top if it's the last thing I do. It's come to my attention that 40% of you are not subscribed to the channel. Here's the deal, if you subscribe and like the video right now, we're going to take this match back with just 3 cards. Seems impossible, right? Well, if the anime's taught me anything, it's taught me that anything is possible with enough likes and subscribes. So let's push our Yu-Gi-Oh! From scratch deck to its absolute limit and get this damn bread together.
Ooh, the Nibiru does come down. That's going to negate the effect of the Brotaur, but it's also going to wipe the board of Pol Pots. If Revs can find a way to out the stage, they're still in the game by a lot. Whoa, even worse! They have a Gravedigger's Trample as the last card set, so that Nibiru is going to remain in the hand!
Hell yeah, that's what I thought. Told you we could do it. Thanks for subscribing. Game 2, we do our little Sideroo, and of course, we see Driver, but we can just pitch it for Chaos Space anyway, so this is actually a pretty good hand. Our opponent's going first though, and they apparently have a little bit of an awkward hand, so they're really struggling with their combo, trying to figure out what their line of play is, and well, live on Twitch, they lose to the timer. Going into round 3, we finally win a rock, paper, scissors, this time against Mayakashi. We open up a really nice hand, assuming that our starting plays go off in the form of Formud Skipper and Arboria, and right enough, we don't get met with anything until we get to the second effect of Parallel Exceed. Now, Ash in that makes us struggle to put Rafflesia on the board, and therefore we won't be able to negate Nibiru if they have it. So if you do have the Nibiru with the Ash, that's a very good thing to hit, because then you can just wipe my board after I invest a little bit more resources into my combo. So at this point, I'm kind of fearing the Nibiru, but have a sneaky little way to still get Rafflesia on the board anyway. So I link our Synchron into Striker Dragon, getting Boot Sector Launch, of course. I then summon Draco to Striker Dragon's Arrow, and because Draco and Exceed are both level 4, boom, Deck Mummy 2 still hits the board. This was only doable because I had an additional Dragon Extender in my hand in the form of Wyverburster, which allows us to pop off through the Ash, getting to a board of Spheres, Harbinger, Rafflesia, and Borreload Savage. The only thing we're missing there is the Buster Lock. We did, however, get a hand rip with the Levianeer that we searched off of the Brotaur through LP, so a very convincing game 1 to us. Game 2, going second, I keep the Nibirus in, even though zombies are usually pretty conservative with their summons. Mayakashi specifically goes through a lot of their synchros, and therefore Nibiru would be pretty hard hitting. The deck typically makes use of generic zombie stuff as well, like Baldarok, which is just, oh my god, I hate that card, along with Zombie World, so DD Crow is going to come in clutch if we see that as well. It's also sometimes a possibility that Zombie World just completely shuts down our deck because it turns off the full dragon portion of our combos. So World Legacy Guard Dragon, for example, is going to be completely useless if we have no dragons in the graveyard because they're all zombies. Thankfully though, this hand is basically the god hand against this deck. We do see a Zombie World and a Balladrock, but I do activate the Nibiru at the end of the main phase, and then in my draw phase I activate DD Crow so we don't have to worry about it coming back. Wyverburster off the top as well, by the way, so with full combo in Arboria and Parallel Exceed, and then Wyverburster on top of that, we have the Rafflesia to stop any potential Nibirus and get that Boral Sword OTK bang on lethal, I'm pretty sure. Actually no, it was like a solid 2000 over lethal, but you know, Swift 2-0. Round 4.
Wow.
We lose the rock, paper, scissors, open 0 interruptions going second against Dragon Link, and it's not just any Dragon Link, It's the FTK. I don't actually think we've dropped a match to Dragon Link before, but this might be the first time because opening 0 interruptions against the FTK, they literally just need to get to Romulus and then they can FTK you basically. Easily done here by a Brotaur followed by Monster Reborn. Now in most scenarios when you realize they have the FTK, you should just scoop just to save the timer on the clock, but these matches aren't timed. So because I'm excited just to get a mirror match, I'm more than happy just to watch him play it out, and oh my god, I'm really glad I did because he fucked it up. I don't know how, maybe he had like the second Exploder Rocket in hand or something, but he fucked it up. So he blows up the first Exploder Rocket with Borrow Sword, that's fine, dealing 2,000 to us both. He gives me the 5 tokens from Black Garden. From there, literally all you have to do is blow up the Aspiss with Tracer on my turn, summoning Exploder Rocket and wiping my field, dealing 4,000, and then you just Borrow Sword the second Exploder Rocket and that's game. Instead, he allows me to do something, so I use 2 tokens to link summon Union Carrier, which triggers Black Garden, giving him a token, but he also triggers a Phantasma as well, giving himself a full board. I activate the effect of Union Carrier, targeting a Dark token to equip Spiral from the deck, to which he chains Tracer, popping his token for that second Exploder Rocket. On resolution, he activates the Borrow Sword, targeting the Exploder Rocket to get that pop, but he then negates the Borrow Sword with the Herald to negate and destroy it, and therefore get the Aspiss field wipe. Because the Borrow Sword was negated, the Exploder Rocket doesn't go off. We take the 4,000 from Aspiss, but we still have 2,000 left, man. I don't know what the fuck happened. You fucked it. Moving on from all that, I begin my combos to eventually get Nibiru rather early on, allowing me to continue playing through it. We can't quite make it to the OTK because Black Garden halves everything, but we can build a semi-decent board. Then with basically no extra deck or resources left on his side, we just easily take the game. Game 2 going second. Once again, Romulus appears to be too much of a choke point because when I impermanence it, it forces him to pass turn, and we OTK him. Round 5 we're up against Mech Knight Invoked and win the rock paper scissors once again, despite opening 2 Garnets and a hand trap, which is very unfortunate. We do have the Chaos Space and the Absorouter. That's all you need, man, it's all you need. And being met with 0 interruptions, we get to a board of Spheres, Savage and Harbinger with a Union Carrier Buster Lock. We're just missing the Rafflesia. Our opponent here begins by tributing over the Harbinger for a Gamma Seal, so there goes our extra deck lock. They then follow up with the normal summon of an Alistair. I am kind of scared of Purgatrio, so I bounce the Alistair back to hand before they put out Almirage. So they set a back row and special summon a purple Nightfall, activating its effect, which is a very juicy Ghost Ogre target, so we get that sent to the grave. Invocation is then activated, and I thought this felt pretty desperate, so I negate that with the Savage, hoping that's all they have. But of course, like any great invoked player, they have the second Invocation in hand, which gets them 2 monsters on the field after summoning a Movie Boy. 2 monsters equals Predaplant, Verte, Anaconda, and therefore Rainbow Neos. While Rainbow Neos can very easily just send the Anaconda to grave to clear our board, I am so glad this is not Dragoon. That card is actually just going to be so dumb to deal with. While Rainbow Neos does clear the board, it definitely doesn't win the game, especially when we have Boot Sector launch to keep bringing back monsters, and Brotaur in grave as well. We're basically in a top deck war. I do eventually get into a Halki Fibrax by normal summoning Ghost Ogre, and that gets me to the Borrow Sword, which eventually takes the game. Game 2, our opponent goes first, but straight up passes on nothing. Here's me just hoping it's a fat brick, but no. Yep. Game 3, going first, we open up a decent hand, provided we don't get interrupted. However, on the normal summon of Skippy, we get hit with a Ghost Ogre. I could play on with 1-for-1 here, but if we lose to Ash, then the whole match is out the window, so I start toying with the idea of just passing on absolutely nothing, giving him 0 columns for the Mech Knights. It also allows us to attempt to combo again on the next turn with Arboria and Maximus, so that's exactly what I do. I pass on an empty board, and pray that he can't OTK. Well, it turns out our prayers seem to be answered, because all he does is make and swing for 5k before passing turn, allowing us to rapidly swing in and yoink the match. Round 6, the second last round of Swiss. We're nearly there, and we're up against... oh, well, that was easy. Okay, here we go. The final round of Swiss. 5-1 record. Can we make it 6-1 and get that top 8? top cut. Winning rock, paper, scissors is a good start, and a live chaos space along with the Skippy and Foolish is even nicer. We're up against probably one of the coolest decks in the entire tournament, and that is Dogmatika Magical Musketeers, or like Musket Matica, or whatever you want to call it. Our first taste of Rise of the Duelist so far. We've not even seen any new cards yet. We're met with 0 interruptions in game 1 and are free to just pop off, and pop off we do. Yep, we got the full shebang on the board. We got Spheres, the Buster Lock, Harbinger, Rafflesia, Savage. We got a Rip with Levianeer. We have DD Crow in hand. This has to be a free game 1. Our opponent normal summons a Casper, and I really don't want them to get into max, so I bounce their normal summon back to hand, to which they chain Called by the Grave, to which I chain Hope Harbinger to negate it. From there they activate Fleur-de-Lis in hand to special summon, so I respond to that with Rafflesia. I really didn't need to because it's just a 2/5 body, but I did it anyway. This gets followed up by a triple Tactics Talent, the first time we've seen that in this tournament, and I still have the Savage negate, so I have to use that here, making way for the $80 card Nadir Servant. Holy shit, is this card expensive, man. Dumping they get a search for Dogmatika Maximus and pop the Borrowload Savage, triggering Brotaur, which allows me to search for Wyverburster, and then from there they just pick up the cards because there's not really anything else they can do. Game 2, I'm really not sure if we're going to be going first or second because muskets tend to usually go second and resolve max, but Dogmatika go first and set up Winda, so I really don't know. Turns out they're going first, and we see a Starfire get normal summoned followed up by a Nadir Servant, which I assume is like the bread and butter combo, just gaining advantage through the muskets. There isn't really that many good opportunities to drop the Ghost Ogre against this deck, but I do drop it on the Maximus so that Collapserpent is live on my turn. I've also realized that Maximus ripping 2 cards out of our extra deck isn't actually that big of a deal because we don't use every card in our extra deck. It's very hand dependent, and because we already know what our hand is and what our plays are going to look like, we can get rid of the cards that we don't need. So Titaniclad is going to activate in the end phase here, getting a search or a special summon of a Dogmatika monster, and Ecclesia is going to hit the field, getting a search on summon for Fleur-de-Lis. So actually a pretty insane setup for such a simple deck. Like, all of their back row interruptions are going to gain them advantage at the same time through Starfire and Casper, and yeah, there's just no chance that we can win this through Winda. We do top deck an Anti-Spell Fragrance, just in the off chance that I was going first, but I was wrong, and an Appointer gets flipped, revealing a Nibiru in hand as well, so absolutely no chance. And so our tournament rides on this game 3. This hand is exactly what you want to see. We have combo, we have Imperial Order for insurance against things like Dark Ruler No More, we even have Ghost Ogre, even though we don't really need it going first. And the best part of all, we are met with 0 interruptions and are therefore able to just pop off. I didn't see access to Galactic Spiral through Soyuja, so I did have to go through a Romulus, meaning I didn't get Union Carrier or Rafflesia on the board. We did however get Spheres, Savage, Harbinger and the Romulus with Imperial Order and a Levianeer Rip, so a very, very strong position. Yo, is that Dimension Shifter for turn? Oh, you hate to see it, but you love to see it at the same time. From there we see a Mind Control come down. From there, a Starfire is normal summoned, so we do the same again. We bounce the Starfire back to hand, but a Crooked Crown is activated first, summoning a second Starfire from the hand. From there, they go into the max, and we just negate that with our Savage, and it's game over. Oh boy, that had to be one of the most nerve-wracking matches of the tournament, especially because I'm unconfident against variants that I've never played against before. But we did it, a 6-1 record, going 5th at the end of Swiss. So we've made it to the top 16 cut, and therefore we need to win one more match to complete the ultimate goal of Yu-Gi-Oh! From scratch. Top 8 or better. Let's do it. Alright, here we go. We lose the rock, paper, scissors, unfortunately, so we are going second, and guess who we're up against? For the second match in a row, we're up against the same dude with the Dogmatica Magical Musketeers. Although it was me that won the rock, paper, scissors last time, and this matchup kind of favors the going first. It really hurts to not open up any interruptions, allowing our opponent to get through their full combo and open with a Winda. The only way we would really be able to out it is by getting to the Levianeer and attacking over it. In order to get the materials in the graveyard for Levianeer, I chain quick launch to the activation of Schism, so when I summon Tracer on resolution, it will just pop it as a dark. I then Ghost Ogre the Casper, allowing me to get our fat 3k beat stick on the board, but we get met with a cross domination, so yep, that's it. Being a game down is not where I want to be right now, but anyway, game 2. Wow. A very scary hand. There's very limited options I can do with this, and I have to start with a Foolish Burial, which gets chained to with a Dimension Shifter. This forces me just to set the Gravedigger's Trap hole in pass turn with nothing else. However, Dimension Shifter kind of turns off the whole Dogmatica strategy as well, so we're unlikely to die. Unsurprisingly, all we see is the normal summon of a Kid Brave getting linked into Max, which will summon a Casper or Starfire from the deck, a Punch for 1000 in the battle phase, and a pass turn 0 back row. Top decking our own Maximus really saves the day because it opens up a line of play that allows us to combo and potentially go in for the OTK, assuming we are uninterrupted. For the second time in this tournament, our curse of always opening the Gravedigger's Trap hole wins the game because he has a Nibiru, but fuck your Nibiru. Oh shit, boys, it's going down to a game 3, and our opponent gets to choose who goes first. If they can get a Winda and we can't out it, it's over. Well, here goes nothing. Game 3. Yes, you get that Winda shit out of here. The rest of our hand is so good that, oh, this could be it. This could be it. Our opponent sets 2 back row and passes turn during the end phase. Our monsters obviously get banished, and we draw into a World Legacy Guard Dragon. Could this get any better, man? Starting off, I tried to bait out any lingering foreheads by activating Dragon Shrine, although we were met with no response, so I dumped the Absorouter getting Tracer to hand. Now we go into the Crusadia line by normal summoning Arboria and linking into Magius, and then special summoning Draco, chain blocking the Magius by adding Arboria back to hand from the graveyard. Now linking the Draco into Striker Dragon, getting a search for Boot Sector launch, we're met with a Cross Domination. This will negate our Striker Dragon, but also trigger the Casper, getting a search for Desperado, which is just a pop 1 from hand. Summoning Arboria, we link into the Noodle Fibrax, but we get met with an impermanence there, meaning no Synchron from the deck for us. Whole load of red circles on our field there, but that's not going to stop us. I activate World Legacy Guard Dragon to revive Draco, which will allow us to get to the LP, but that gets met with a Desperado and therefore does not resolve. Good thing we have Monster Reborn. We just keep coming and we don't stop coming. We're going to win this damn match. Reborn gets us to the LP and allows us to continue our combos with no further interruption to worry about. We get the Borrow Sword and we get the kill. Oh my god, we did it! Quest complete. We've topped a tournament. Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! From scratch is coming to a successful finish. But the tournament is not over. Let's play our top 8 match and see how far we can take it. Winning the rock, paper, scissors is a very good sign, but looking at the hand, we kind of need this chaos space to resolve, and Ash will pretty much end our turn. Thankfully, it resolves, and we get to our baby chaos dragons, go through the striker dragon and into the Romulus, which should be chain blocked by the parallel exceed in hand, but because EDO Pro plays by OCG rules, you can't chain block from hand, and therefore our opponent gets a chance to respond to the Romulus with a gamma. This is kind of annoying because it sets us back a little bit, but at least least the Exceed will still resolve. We summon it as Chainlink 4 to Romulus's Zone, which will get a second copy from the deck as well. Then, on resolution of all that, because Romulus was destroyed by an opponent's card effect, we can trigger our Brotaur in hand and discard our other parallel Exceed, which is currently useless, to search for Tracer. Using Boot Sector Launch, I go to special summon the Tracer from hand, but we get met with a Ghost Ogre, but I haven't used my normal summon yet, so I just normal summon the Tracer afterwards, and link into a Halki Fibrax, allowing us to go for the LP Pisty Plate. Man, our deck is actually just insane. This gets us to a board of Saryuja, Harbinger, and Savage. We probably could have ended on a Spheres as well, but I think I played it wrong. Not the biggest board, but it's not a terrible board through Ghost Ogre and Gamma. So passing it over, our opponent starts by normal summoning and activating a Planet Pathfinder to search for a field spell. I allow that to go through and they add a Numeron Network to hand. From there, they just pass turn and, well, we kill him. Game 2 going second, we do see a Ghost Ogre which comes in clutch against this Numeron Network. However, on our turn, we get hit by a fat Nibiru that we can't recover from, and it turns out he's playing Generators, so we just continually get smashed by big level 9 monsters. Game 3, our hand is looking pretty busted, pretty juicy indeed, so much so that we can play through 1, 2, 3 different hand traps and still make this board. With just 2 cards left in hand, what can they really do? They set one and pass it back over to us, where we just swing in for game. Oh boy, we're going to the semi-finals. Top 4 losing the rock, paper, scissors against none other than
Jeff Leonard, greatest card in the game.
We genuinely can't out this with our main deck, so it's a swift move on to game 2. On to game 3. Oh man, imagine if I had sacked it twice in a row. That would have been crazy. Unlike the previous 2 games that lasted like 5 seconds each, this one lasted 25 minutes. We got stuck into the Mine Oracle lock, and it was just a case of waiting for Jeff to find his final countdown win condition. Well, there's actually a bunch of different ways to break the lock in the deck. For example, using Quick Launch on the opponent's turn after they use the Oracle would shuffle the deck and get us a random draw. It's worth noting that we'd been playing for like 9 or 10 hours straight at this point, and I was just tunnel visioned on the deck out win condition. We did grab a Cosmic Cyclone off of a Chaos Space draw that Jeff wouldn't have known about, but it was just like 1 turn or 2 turns too late after the Prohibition had gotten called. Just nothing we could do about it, but Jeff just could not find the final countdown. He eventually got to the Left Arm Offering, which grabbed it from the deck, leaving just 9 cards in the deck, meaning final countdown, which resolves on the 20th turn, would win the game with 0 cards left in the deck. If it was 1 card deeper, man, it would have been a deck out. Definitely the most intense Mystic Mine match I have ever had. I'm more than happy to lose to Jeff Leonard here. He's an absolute legend, and he actually went undefeated in the full tournament, winning the final against Megalith as well. What a run though, dude, getting the top 4 finish to complete the Yu-Gi-Oh! From Scratch challenge. A little bit of luck, a little bit of skill, something, power of will. Huge thanks to MBT and Mambo for hosting such an amazing tournament. Competitive options are really limited right now, with PPG and LCS sort of going downhill a little bit in terms of attendance, so all of their links will be in the description if you want to check them out, or watch the Twitch VOD back if you want to watch back the feature matches. So what now? Let's talk about it. Alright, so while we have achieved our top 4 and completed the main storyline of Yu-Gi-Oh! From Scratch, there's still some things left to do. You know, like when you beat the Elite Four on a Pokemon game and you can still go catch legendary Pokemon and stuff like that? That's where we're at right now. We still need to get to the Dragoon build and see how that goes. I still want to try and get the nuke while we can. We also still need to play our upgraded Salamangreat list with the access code Talker Engine. So really just tying up a bunch of loose ends. Like, people are still waiting for me to pull Double or Nothing since like episode 4. So still lots to do and lots to look forward to before eventually moving on to the season 2. I already have it all planned out. But yeah, we're gonna wrap up this monster right now because we've just passed the 43.5 minute mark. Holy shit. If you have made it this far, I think it would be cool if you comment down below saying welcome to the Hall of Fame. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and click the notification bell to be there when we start our journey for season 2. Also, just as a small bonus, if you're planning on picking up some merch for the next few hours after this video is released, there will be 10% off using code TEAMPLAYER. I'll leave that in the comments below as well. Thank you so much for watching and all of the support you've shown the channel. It really means a lot and makes all the work that goes into these videos worth it. So until next time, sayonara.
Gravel road, I've been asked to slow down. Fireplace, do you